Today we'll take a look at saying 13 in the Gospel of Thomas. The translator is Thomas.AVI. Here's how it reads. Jesus asked his disciples, "Make a comparison. What am I like?" Simon Peter replied, "You're like a righteous messenger." Matthew replied, "You are like an intelligent lover of wisdom." Thomas replied, "Teacher, I cannot possibly say what you are like." Jesus said to Thomas, "I am not your teacher. You have drunk from and become intoxicated from the bubbling water that I poured out." Jesus' framing of his question is important. He did not ask, "Who am I?" That would be too vague and peculiar a question. He understood that we think in metaphor and comparisons. So he said, "Make a comparison. What am I like?" Think about yourself for a moment. What might you or your closest friends say you are like? Peter said, "You are like a righteous messenger." While that answer sounds initially good in that it is theologically correct, it is somewhat distancing, putting Jesus over there somewhere. It implies that Peter was ready to join the movement and set a few things straight himself. Matthew said, "You're like an intelligent lover of wisdom." This answer makes Jesus a little more human, but more like a philosopher, a lover of wisdom. It is distancing too, putting Jesus in a category of people of intelligent abstraction. Thomas said, "Teacher, I cannot possibly say what you are like." In his answer, Thomas acknowledged Jesus as his sensei, his teacher, and in the best of Zen tradition, said he had no words of description for Jesus. None would fit. Jesus totally ignored the answers of Peter and Matthew. He went to the answer that had some life in it. First of all, he had to set Thomas straight. "I am not your teacher." With these words, Jesus abolished the hierarchy. He spoke the truth of equality of capacity for understanding. He knew that Thomas had great capaciousness, great capacity. He also knew that Thomas's ordinary consciousness was reeling from the wisdom and the understanding that was pouring in. He said Thomas was intoxicated from the bubbling water of wisdom that Jesus was pouring out. Jesus not only poured out bubbling wisdom with his verbal words, but also, and probably even more so, with the radiance of his presence, with his nonverbal outspokenness. Thomas felt this. His consciousness resonant with, vibratory with, Jesus' consciousness. He was spiritually drunk. Jesus knew this and took Thomas aside from the others to tell him a few more things. About that, more later.